Alright, today we are going to be replacing the body mounts on the 97 F250. This will be the same procedure for all these square body, old body style Fords. I'm using, oh, where's the box? I'll put links to all this in the description, but I'm using the Energy Suspension. Part number on this is 44107. G if you want the black body mounts, R if you want the red ones. And there's the mounts. That's what they look like. It's going to be your 2 rear body mounts, 2 middle body mounts, and radiator core supports. Alright, this is the front of the cab on the passenger side. I've got all the passenger side removed. I got the driver's side loosened. And when you pull these apart, you'll take the bolt out from inside. You may need a second person. But you'll come down here, there's your body bushing. And this washer is a shim. This piece is pressed into this piece in the factory. So you've got to make a puller to get that out. And what you'll need is a piece of 7/16 by 14 threads per inch. It's just coarse thread, 7/16 all thread, but you'll need a piece maybe 8-10 inches long, and then a piece of pipe 3-inch inner diameter. You can use exhaust pipe. I'm using I think that's schedule 40. I wouldn't use PVC. I think it would break. But what you're going to do is screw, after the bolt is removed, screw the all thread into the bottom nut, and then slide your pipe over it. Put a piece of plate or something over the end of the pipe for the nut to bite on. Put the nut on it, tighten it down, and it'll pull this down into the pipe, break it loose, the bottom bushing will fall off, and then you're ready to jack it up and slide the top one off. So let's get set up and let's do that. Alright, so here's our front driver's side mount. You can see you got to pull carpet back. There's a, yeah, I know my floor's rough. I got to get into that later. This big rubber plug installs right here. Down in that hole is this bolt. It's a 16 millimeter head. What I ended up doing was I held the top with a socket and a ratchet. Then I came down here and spun the mount loose with the impact and a 22 millimeter socket. Alright, let me show you how this puller works over here where we can kind of see it a little better. Put your puller rod through the plate, through the pipe, screw it into the bottom nut, and make sure it screws in there pretty well. You want it biting by more than just a thread or two, because this thing's going to take some force. That's in there pretty well. Push your pipe up, push your plate up, tighten the nut. What I should do, and I would do if I were probably a little smarter, is cut this all thread off shorter so that I could use the impact and a deep socket on this. But I haven't done that, and there's only one bushing left to be done at the back after this one, so no reason to do it now. But tighten the nut. Oops, don't drop the wrench. That's going to push everything up nice and tight against itself. It's kind of going to squeeze that old bushing down into the pipe a little bit, and that's okay. And then just crank down on it until it comes apart. Be careful you don't lay under your pipe or anything like that, because when this thing comes loose, it's going to have a little bit of pressure behind it. There it is. Shims. Only got 2 on this side. And pull the mount out. Oh, there were 3 shims over here too. All right, good. 2 of them are just stuck together. So slide the shims back in. Slide the bolt back down there. Just hold it steady. There we go. Alright, we've done all our mounts except for the rear driver's side because it's the pain in the butt. It's behind and under your front fuel tank, and a lot of guys are going to tell you you have to drop the tank to do this, and while that is easier, it is not necessary. What I did is I supported the front of the tank with a jack, and I removed the front strap. I just removed the strap, and I let the tank drop down, and I pushed it over against my carrier bearing. And while there's not enough room, a pipe will not fit because of this lip right here. But my angle iron, I did this on the other side too. I didn't have to, but I did. It works perfect. It puts pressure on the bottom of the cross member, and then over here, if you can see it, on the inside of the curve of the cross member at the top. So all the force is going right against the frame where we want it, and we didn't have to drop the gas tank. Alright, I showed you the bushings under the cab, the ones under the back of the cab, the ones under the floorboard. I couldn't get a good shot of the radiator bushings on the truck, so here they are on the bench. These were the only ones I had problems with, and I had some pretty good problems with them. The way these work is, this is the bottom of the truck, this is the top under the hood. You've got a nut under the hood that you're going to have to remove. Remove this nut first, and then this is a long bolt that comes up from the bottom. You can see the head broke off mine when I tried taking it out. With this nut removed, this long bolt here is still threaded into this portion here. This is threaded, and this little molded nut deal would fit down in the factory bushing. And on mine, these bushings are so shot, when I tried to turn it, this nut was actually turning in the rubber, and then the head broke off. But what you would have typically is all this together, including this little 1/2-inch spacer, is above the fender plate, or the radiator core support, and then this bushing goes underneath it. Then you put the bolt in from the bottom with that washer, and it all goes together. We'll walk out here, I'll show you on the truck what I'm talking about. I've got the new Energy suspension bushings already in here, but you can see all your bushings would be right here, and then that other one comes up from the bottom right here where this one is. Then your bolt goes up through the bottom, through that top spacer, or the big washer with the molded nut. Then the spacer goes on top. Then there's a plate inside, and you'd put the nut back on from inside. And these new bushings, I'll pull this one out. You can see these are molded as well to work with that top spacer. But since my top spacers are damaged and the bolts are rusted in them and all that, what I'm going to do is actually take the torch and cut this nut off so it's just a big washer. And then I picked up some new bolts to put back through it. Alright, here we are putting the driver's side radiator mount in. You'll take your bushing, your new body mount here, I hope you can see that. Slide your cap into it. You can see where I just burned the center out of that. So slide the cap in, slide that in, drop it down in the hole. Slide your Uh-oh, where's my thick shim? Better go find that. Slide your thick shim on top of the cupped flat piece. It's going to be a tight fit as you start getting these in here, so have a jack and a block of wood so you can just lift up real gently on the body work. And I may have to reposition the camera in a second. There we go, just for a second there. Slide your big washer on top. Now from the factory, the bolts go in from the bottom and they thread into that top bushing. But since I had to cut the threads out of my top bushing, I'm going to drop the bolt through from the top because otherwise there's nothing to hold it. All right, there's the bolt hole. Right. Yep, that's what we want. Now let the jack down. Whoops. And at this point, I'm going to go ahead and anti-seize. Well, no, I'll put this bushing on first. This bushing slides up. Make sure it snaps around the metal collar in the top bushing, then hit it with some anti-seize. If you're using these poly bushings, you'll probably never have to do this again, but just in case, go ahead and anti-seize all your bolts when you put it back together. Now your bushings, your energy suspension poly bushings are going to come with these new big 2-inch washers for the bottom. I'm putting a regular hardened washer underneath that and then securing it with a nylon lock nut. And there you go. At this point, all you got to do is make sure your body panels are lined up. Mine are. I got pretty lucky once all the new bushings went in. But get everything lined up, torque them down, and you're done. If you have any questions, be sure to ask them in the comment section below. And thanks for watching.